You're listening to the Elevated News Podcast with two dope dudes. Here are your hosts, Dave and Aaron. Welcome to the Elevated News Podcast with two dope dudes. We're a podcast focused on discussing local and national cannabis news and culture. I'm Aaron. This is my brother from another mother, Dave.
Hello.
What's going on, dude?
Not a whole bunch. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, brother, man. This is the first time I've seen you since before the New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We're back.
Yeah.
2024 is here. I'm rejuvenated.
Rejuvenated? Everybody is, I think.
Yeah. I hope you're still going to the gym 4 days in and, or eating better.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah.
Well, you know what? I think the point is that nothing's going to change unless you decide that you're going to put in the work and make the change. So
That's it.
That's what you got to remember throughout the new year. It ain't going to happen if you're not the one doing it. Don't rely on anybody else. Rely on yourself.
Hey, make a commitment to yourself, man.
If it is to be,
It's not a bad idea.
it is up to me.
Oh, God.
Wise words from a man that was
Aristotle.
way greater than I.
Who was it?
Past life.
Socrates.
Shout out to that guy.
Yeah.
Shout out to that guy. Heck yeah, man. We were just talking about Michigan. You were just up in, had your little trip in Michigan. You were
Yes.
saying the dispensaries up there.
It's wild.
Yeah.
There are so... first of all, I went to a very tiny town. There is not a lot of people by where I was at. And the amount of dispensaries blew my fucking mind, to be quite honest with you. Within one literal city block, I think I counted 6 dispensaries. Now, I call it one city block. It was kind of this street with some stuff up here and right before you got onto it, and then you take the left. But like in one T intersection, pretty much, you could see 6 dispensaries. And I was like,
I wonder what their zoning is for dispensaries up there. It might be a zoning issue too.
Yeah, I mean, because you have to be in a certain area or whatever, so they're all forced to go there, but because of how many are allowed.
Yeah.
And it'll be cool to see what unfolds from it. Cannabis is, there's, like I was telling you, there's everything from dispensaries that are selling $70 an ounce cannabis, and that's literally the top. Or like you,
that's like
they might actually have a few 8s that are more expensive, whatever. But
I'm sure. I mean, it comes down to genetics and how you grow it and stuff like that. Obviously,
yeah. And then right down the street, and it was called. I remember this one's name. The Dude Abides.
The Dude Abides. Yeah, the dude does abide.
So if they use like a celebrity backing or something of that nature, then they try and take on almost the Illinois style of dispensing, which is more that everybody in Illinois wanted to be the iPhone store of cannabis, and they all tried, but then
you're stuck in an old building right next to the VA, and
bingo, yeah. It's not very flashy or whatever. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
I guess not down, up in Michigan, they've got some things flashy, and they've got some iPhone looking stores, whatever, but it doesn't even matter because right down the street there's another one doing almost the exact same. And
number one, you got to stay away from the ones that are right off the highway. Stay away from the bright flash. It's like going to the fireworks store in Indiana. That's the thing too.
You
know what I mean?
The name also, the Dude Abides, got me hooked because I was like, it's kind of cool. Let me go see what's going on.
I'm a dude.
They literally had ounces of cannabis, $560, $700. Nice. I'm like, get the fuck? How is that even possible? And I get it because quality means something, and you should respect the quality that comes out of things.
What's their unit pricing? Jeez,
$20 a gram.
Oh man.
Yeah, period. And then like literally $20 a gram all the way up. That's $560.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was blown away, and then I think one of them
that's like old sour diesel unit prices.
Yeah,
You
well,
used to be able to get like 3,400.
yeah,
And that was a bad time, but that's
Yeah.
just because it takes forever.
Well, bingo, and there wasn't as much
Right.
of it around. Now there's an abundance of product.
Yep.
Not that it's all quality. There's some of it that is lacking quality for
there's
sure.
tons.
Still.
I mean, they're still spraying packs out here, man. They're,
Yeah.
you know, all this
A lot of
garbage they're
people
doing.
are.
Smoking chemicals, man.
Yeah.
It's worse than the spice.
Oh. Yeah, that shit was gross too. Hey, bring back Salvia. Anyway.
No, why?
No,
it's
yeah, I'm just
gross.
kidding.
That stuff. We used to get that stuff when I lived in South Carolina.
You ever see Ari Shafir?
Ari Shafir go. Yeah, no, I know.
Maybe you told me about that.
I did tell you about that.
Maybe.
That was on the old Death Squad podcast at the Ice House with Brian Redband.
Yeah. That shit was kind of gross.
Salvia, every time I've smoked it, literally makes me puke and nothing happens.
Yeah.
It's the worst. It's gross.
I remember only one time of Salvia being slightly effective, but I remember it being more effective for my buddy who was like laughing and crying for a minute and we were out in the rain and enjoying the rain, which I don't do anyway. But
that sounds like a mushroom trip.
It does.
I'm going to go enjoy the rain.
Yeah. Well, all I remember was like being fooled by, I don't know, it was like a gutter or something. There was water coming out, like the top part of the gutter. It was like dripping out, but then the gutter was right next to it coming down. And there was something going on in my brain where I was like, why isn't that water going down that drain right there? And why is it coming out of the corner? And I just remember sitting there staring at the drain for like 10, 15 minutes while I watched my buddy, like, I swear to God, he went through all the emotions that you could possibly imagine, crying and laughing. And I was like, you okay, man? And he's like, I'm fine. So then I like stopped caring about him because I was more intrigued by why the fucking water was coming out of the side of the thing and not going down the chute.
But back to Michigan.
Who knows
so
why?
Like the Dude Abides, that's a great story. So it sounds like, I mean, like I was saying earlier, it's amazing what happens when you have enough market competition that the market can actually decide, and by the market, the person that being us, the people, we are the market, we are the consumers,
You bring
right?
the money, yeah.
So if it's not good, we don't go there, they don't survive.
Bingo.
Right? That's what a free market is. All this regulation and making sure that only certain people who have been affected in certain ways is not healthy for us, the consumer, us, the market.
Yeah.
We need more choices, and we can decide, and we can vote with our dollar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not supposed to be everybody can, everybody has the opportunity to thrive. It's just what you do with it. You know what I mean?
100%.
And that's one of the things that Michigan definitely does way better than Illinois.
Yeah, this is a good old boys club. You got to be part of the club to get in here. Well, now it's getting better.
Yeah, but they're about to start on the hemp side too. Like as we've discussed, I mean, it's fairly obvious that that's what they're attacking next. They're going to start attacking all these people in the smoke shops and stuff, selling illegal product. They're just going to make it more regulated.
Yeah, I mean, THCA hemp is, one thing, but I don't see them. Yeah, I don't know. It's got to be clarifying the verbiage. Like people need to be able to say the same thing. Yeah. What is Delta 9? What is THCA? Correct. And maybe it's not that you just need to understand it. And you got to imagine that somewhere along the line, they definitely understand the fucking thing. But, as we looked at that, what was it, that little comic last week? Yeah. And it was like, oh, we're just going to try it out and see how it unravels.
Yeah, that's like, I was showing Dave, if anybody watches, I think it's The Legalization Nation. It's a comic by Box Brown. And it's, I call it propaganda because it's people, I see people online starting to float the idea that how we need to start attacking people who sell hemp. Because, well, not attacking, but they as the state needs to start regulating people who are selling hemp more and farming hemp more and things like that. And that's just them starting to float the idea out there to the public to see how people feel about it. It's just, it's the idea. And it's obvious once you see it.
You just got it. I don't know. it's a strange space and a strange time right now. We definitely have the fucking. It's almost like people just don't know what the words mean,
Right.
and I just don't understand how there is such a gap between what cannabinoids mean and why they're regulated. I just say fucking blow the roof off the thing. Get it off the fucking list of classifications, period. Put it in the same fucking categories as...
No, it needs to be declassified.
Yeah, 100%. Alcohol or tobacco. Just let it fucking go.
Well, because they want regulation because that's how they make money off of it. And that's...
I mean, they still making money off of alcohol and tobacco, though. They could just blow the roof off, do the same exact thing. They don't even understand what they're regulating if they allow THCA hemp flower to be a thing. Right. And that's
they're allowing their greed to shadow their understanding of what they're actually regulating, and that hurts nobody but us. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, like I said, I don't know that it's hurting any one of us right now because they still don't know how the fuck to do it. Outside of it's hurting us by being Schedule 1, but...
Right, and it's hurting us because we don't have a great common understanding of what the cannabinoids and terpenoids and even, you know, the difference between THCA, hemp, and cannabis. Like, that's how it's hurting us.
Yeah, I mean...
That's what I mean.
Yeah, well...
I don't mean like they're...
I think, like I said, because they have it so badly classified, I think it probably benefits a lot of us who are on the side...
I thought you were going to say on the spectrum.
No. on the side of benefit from the, you know, bad classifications. THCA hemp is...
you just got to find stuff that actually smokes well, because I've smoked a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's the wildest words to come out of my mouth. My brain still breaks every fucking time I say it.
I love it.
I don't...
Well, welcome to the present.
Man, one of these days, it's going to all come together, and people will understand what the fuck I'm getting so worked up about. It's the same.
It's the same.
So it benefits us, the consumer.
Right.
Because it's the same. Because... I don't think there's a law against you growing hemp plants at your house, is there?
Actually, I think you have to have a hemp license.
Do you?
Yeah. But that was the thing. They didn't renew the hemp licenses this year.
Yeah, but would it be like the same thing as, I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up.
I think...
because if you could still do the same thing as cannabis, right? Like you could grow essentially... up to 5 plants without it being a felony. It'd be a misdemeanor. And then not only that, it's not a misdemeanor to grow cannabis. I think it's a civil disturbance in a lot of instances, the growing part of it. It is the cultivation part of it, the chopping it down and the curing it for its cannabinoid content that ends up being the issue. But if you're growing hemp and you're curing it for hemp cannabinoids, and there's not 0.3% THC in it, then you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I do know.
I think, I'm not sure.
I'm just saying everybody should, if there is the laws in place for hemp to be grown, everybody should consider growing THCA hemp.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you, man, we're doing good today, man. Like 14 minutes, we haven't even talked about anything.
Hey,
you wanna do plugs and get into it?
Because
that kind of leads right into some of our stuff. But we'll do plugs real quick so we can get it done and over with. You can find us, the Elevated News Podcast with Two Dope Dudes, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all your other favorite streaming podcast apps. Please subscribe to us there as well. Please leave us a review. Obviously, the Two Dope Dudes YouTube channel for our audio listeners. Please give us a like and leave a review. This helps us reach more people. And you can find us on supportdopepeople.com, along with links to our other pods and free stickers just by providing your email and address. And you can email us always at twodopedudespodcast@gmail.com for all your questions or things you want us to talk about. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Dave, and we're the Two Dope Dudes. We're here to tell you about the Crop Culture Box, where you get a curated selection of quality grow items and seeds to help you plant with a purpose.
Use our code 2DOPEDUDES for $10 off any box, $100 or more for new customers. Get the Goat Holiday Box and check out their selection of seeds too.
That's cropculture.net. Use the code 2DOPEDUDES. Hey, also, you should go to www.mrcbdchicago.com and use the code 2DOPEDUDES, that's TWO, Dope Dudes, for 10% off.
Heck yeah.
CBD is an essential cannabinoid, and at least if you listen to me talk, it's one of those ones I would like to call an essential cannabinoid. If you aren't consuming CBD with regularity, maybe you should be. And maybe if it's not you that needs it, there's somebody close to you. If you need any CBD products, go to MrCBDChicago.com and use the code 2DOPEDUDES.
Yeah, and check out the new barbecue sauce he's got. And that was a collaboration from people within the community, the HOB guys.
Fire.
It's great stuff, and it's got THC in it, and it's fantastic.
Nice.
And also check out his Spliff Society stuff, his collaboration with Spliff Society. You can get stuff with THC hemp already in it, if that's your thing.
Bink.
Just
saying.
Yeah, MrCBDChicago.com. And then thegreengrow.com, THEGREENGRO. Use the code 2DOPEDUDES for 10% off. This is a living soil / organic soil and biological company, and that means all your biologicals for your soil biology. It is great stuff. I use it in my garden.
Bang.
Yeah.
Also, Thursday nights, peace, love, and cope.
That's tonight for us.
That's tonight for us, yes. YouTube. Come hang out. We'll be playing some games.
Yep.
Talking about cannabis.
Yep.
Yeah. You might at some point give me a crack and talk about what I'm going to talk about tonight for a little bit too, but yeah, I got some cannabis stuff I'm going to talk about for a while.
Oh, well, I want to hear it.
Yeah,
I want to hear it.
Yeah, throughout the show, it might just blurt out.
Just might blurt out.
I'm so ready to talk.
That's awesome. Speaking of, let's go over to YouTube. Respond to some comments. I was in the other day when the last episode came out. Shout out to Gare Bear and Sunshine. We're in the live chat.
Gare Bear
and Sunshine from, I think,
yeah. Oh, let's go.
Came to watch the show.
That was on
New Year's Day. So
Sunflower?
Sunflower, thank you.
It is Sunflower.
My bad.
Yeah, it was like Sunshine. I'm trying to take it. Yeah, it's Sunflower.
Yes, Sunflower.
That's so dope.
Yeah, so dope.
Good. Yeah, Sunflower, mad love.
Yeah.
Gare Bear, you know it too, but Sunflower, thanks a bunch. That's super cool.
So, dang. I won't get flagged for that because it's us.
How about that?
Yeah, how about that? Let's see, David Graff. Shout out to Fire Ferments. Actually, I got two more things to talk about real quick, and this just reminds me of that. Shout out to Fire Ferments. I'm bringing, and shout out to Spliff Society. January 20th, I hope to see you all there. It's Spliff Society is doing like a growers meetup at the Blue Island Brewery. And that was where the Urban Legends Cup was, and so I'm bringing some Fire Ferments up there to one of the guys with HF Media, who is also part of the thing up there. But you guys should come out to Spliff Society's January 20th meetup, and then January 28th in Carroll Stream with the Low Bean Farmers Market and Family Cannabis Crew 420 is the next indoor market. And so hopefully everybody is going to the Low Bean Eventbrite link and getting tickets for that. And we'll see you there. And I was hanging out with my buddy Marky the other day.
Oh.
Yeah, Marky came over.
Marky.
Yeah, what a guy.
Yeah.
There is a rumor that there's going to be a live taping of the Growers Hangout there.
Oh.
So shout out to, the homies who are going to do that. So you should definitely come watch us record. And we're going to hang out with some homies, Chris from Crop Culture,
nice.
Heisenturb Brothers,
nice.
David Graff, and DJ from Phenohound.
Damn.
So yeah, come on out,
awesome.
Come out to that. Make sure to get your tickets. There's $100. There was I think some $100 VIP that comes with like they always hook you up. So yeah, and that's that.
Boom.
All right, back to YouTube. David Graff, great talks, guys. Thanks for sharing. David, we talk all the time. You're the man. John Voight, another great episode. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you, John.
This is your buddy. He was in the last live stream. He has like 4 or 5 different Jackbox names.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? He's like an old friend of yours.
Okay.
But he popped in. Stephen Wardberg.
Okay.
My buddy gets car sickness really bad. He wears glasses, then he drives. He doesn't get sick when he's a passenger. He does. When he smokes, he does not get sick.
Good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't recommend driving under the influence, but glad your friend has found some relief.
That's,
yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then shout out to Mom. Mom says,
Mom, all the love.
yeah, she's the best. Great information on gun laws, needed discussion, and we've been talking about that for a while. We got to get that done.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
thanks a ton.
Yeah.
Also, I had a personal, not me individually, actually, fucking the girlfriend had some car sickness going on. I said, hey, let me get the body oil. We'll put some in the belly button, see if it works. And it did definitely call some of the nausea.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was like, nah, you're being silly. And she was like, no, I'm pretty sure that, like, I actually feel better. I'm not trying to be wild. But also, too, I talked to Kelly, and Kelly, we told her to use some CBD in the belly button for nausea and things, and she said it has been one of the best, like, actual alleviants of her nauseas and stuff. So
that's fantastic.
Prashadi method.
I'm glad that works for Kelly. I'm actually got to see her later. She messaged me yesterday, and she's like, I got a Christmas present for you. And I was like, that's really nice. You didn't have to do that. Yeah. Shout out to Kelly. I can't wait to go to the next Terrapin Flyer. Hang out with Kelly.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
All right.
How was your last Thursday podcast? Did it go well?
Oh,
fantastic. I can't wait. Oh, that comes out tomorrow, supposedly.
I think tomorrow.
And shout out to the Unstable Discourse. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a big deal. They got over 10,000 unique listens last year in 2023. And I think that's a huge deal. So shout out to, Sean, Alex, Jason, Ryan, Sheila. Thank you.
Yeah. And it was so cool, bro. They did a live audience thing, and
oh, that's cool.
There was way more people there than I thought was going to be. And it went incredible. I had so much fun doing it.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah. Tons of laughs. And
sweet.
Yeah. It'll be good.
Cool. All right, into it. New marijuana laws take effect in multiple states, affecting workers, regulators, product labeling, and more. This is a marijuana moment. Figured we go over this. Let's see here. Here's a rundown of marijuana laws that took effect on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
California and Washington State implement cannabis-related workplace protections.
Good for them.
Yep. Under 2 pieces of legislation signed into law in 2022. In 2023, California employers are now prohibited from asking job applicants about past cannabis use, and most are barred from penalizing employees over lawful use of marijuana outside the job.
Good.
Fantastic.
Good. That's how it should be everywhere.
In Washington State, meanwhile, the new effective law will protect workers from facing employment discrimination during the hiring process over their lawful use of cannabis. I'm okay with that. I always told my people, if I can tell that you're high, we have a problem.
Yeah, that's literally it.
If I can, but we also use a lot of heavy machinery, and you should not, But I was like,
no, I'm with you. If there is a gentle comfort that definitely is not as impairing.
Yep.
If you
just take a little. That's it.
Yeah, but it can be unbelievably alleviating of plenty of symptoms, including social anxieties and such, which a bunch of people have. And in a workplace, it can be crippling. But take a puff of something and you get on with your job. I don't see an issue with any of it. But
me either.
Right.
With certain exceptions, excuse me, it is unlawful for an employer to request information from an applicant for employment relating to the applicant's prior use of cannabis. Okay, fantastic. Nevada's possession limit more than doubles as businesses expand operations.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting for this to happen anywhere.
Right.
Because they used to have a 1 ounce for outside of, if you're not a resident, non-residents could buy 1 ounce of cannabis at a time. I was waiting for any state to up that limit, and now it is 2.5 ounces in Nevada.
Fantastic. You can go to Vegas and have a really expensive time.
Yeah. Yeah.
As recreational retailers become authorized to serve medical cannabis patients as well without a separate license. Fantastic. The policy changes are coming into effect under a large-scale marijuana reform bill that Governor Joe Lombardo signed into law in June. The legislation also broadens eligibility for participation in the market by people with prior felony convictions. One of the key provisions of the law increases the possession and purchase limit for cannabis from 1 ounce to 2.5. The amount of cannabis concentrates that adults can possess is also being doubled from 1/8 of an ounce to 1/4 of an ounce.
That's awesome.
Also, it makes it so adult use marijuana retailers, as opposed to child use marijuana retailers, will no longer need to have a separate medical cannabis license to serve patients. Recreational retailers will automatically serve as dual licenses. Why don't we have that here? Taxes.
That's the only thing that, yeah, that's the only thing. It's taxes.
Taxes.
Yeah. But it's still going to be separated. If you have a medical license, you will just be exempt from the recreational taxes.
Yeah.
Which you should get a medical license still if that is one of your concerns, especially in Nevada, because Nevada has as bad, if not worse, taxation than we do.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst, if not the absolute worst in the country.
Let's see. Virginia gets a new marijuana regulatory body. It says they weren't able to pass an implementation bill to provide for regulated recreational marijuana sales by the new year, as advocates had hoped, but newly effective legislation does shift regulatory responsibility for the existing medical cannabis program to the Virginia Cannabis Control Authority. The establishment of the CCA was required under its 2021 legislation that was enacted to legalize the possession and home cultivation of cannabis by adults 21 and older. I love the name of that law.
Yeah.
Possession and home cultivation. Lawmakers have so far failed to pass complementary sales legislation through both chambers, though one senator said he's confident that they will get the job done in the coming year. Yeehaw.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
I heard I keep hearing Colorado marijuana market is kind of messed up right now.
Well, in some regards, but it's just because they were the hub for everybody.
Right.
Everybody was going to fucking Colorado in 2015, 2016, 2017, and they just absolutely boomed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was even before that. I think, when did their laws pass? 2012, 13, 14, some shit.
Oh, they're recreational?
Yeah.
Because they had medical before that, because I was there in 2011.
Yeah.
2010, 2011. And
for rec?
No, it was medical, but it was pretty open. You could pretty much go anywhere and get it.
Maybe it was 14 or 15 that they did rec, but when they did, every fucking human that wanted that experience flocked to Colorado, and so they boomed. Their market
you get all
expanded
the fucking
like crazy.
Crunchy fucking granolas that want to go out there and do their marijuana fucking tours.
Yeah. And that's,
I'm not mad. Shout out to my friends in Denver.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, do what you do, but their projections were based off of them being that hub, and now that nobody fucking goes to Colorado for that anymore. And it's not that nobody
people
does,
still do. People still go to Colorado for good marijuana. Shout out to Build a Soil and Weed Should Taste Good from Enter Plant Extracts. They just had a nice homegrown. They got a great community out there.
Well, yeah.
But nobody's like going to them for industrial hemp or marijuana right now. Because is that what you mean?
I just mean
Or just
fucking they definitely, of all of the sales numbers, have taken the biggest hits
Really?
throughout the years. It's just they've kind of just plateaued and sit at a level because it's mostly their people consuming what they're consuming.
I gotcha.
They're not getting the big influx. You know, like I mean, especially if you're in anywhere near the Midwest now, you just go to Michigan. Right.
Yeah.
And if
Okay.
you're
fair.
going,
I
if
understand
you're
what
going
you're
west,
saying now.
how
Yeah.
far west do you plan on going? Because if you only want to get to Colorado, then that's fine. If you want to see the edge of the mountains, that's fine. If you want to get through the mountains and you want to see any of those big parks that are out past that, the Grand Canyon or any of California stuff or Yellowstone or anything, you have to move past it. And once you do, the fucking cannabis markets are so much better. Sorry to Colorado, I'm not talking shit. It's just a lot of their shit is grown up in the mountains. Which is fine. It's just you have to build a false atmosphere to make it. And it's not that that doesn't happen in other places, but, you know, regulating everything so that you can grow a quality product where other people who are down on in decent environment that have...
In the volcano soil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair.
So, you know, I mean, there's just people who naturally throughout have a better growing environment, period. They're at a better elevation, even just purely because that's a huge difference in how these plants grow. That's a huge difference in where sativa and indica came from, was what grew on the equator versus what grew up in the mountains. Yeah. And, you know, comparatively to what grew up in Russia in the absolute brutal cold, which...
Are you saying that, like, something, you know, something grown in less oxygen is going to be different than something that's grown closer to the sun and in more fertile soil?
Correct.
It's crazy,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. Something that
something might stretch more or might just chill and grow.
Yeah, chunk out a little bit and suck nutrients if it's there. But
it's exactly what we mean.
Yeah. I mean, cannabis is just a plant that has many different forms. It's all still cannabis.
Right. So, yeah, Colorado marijuana products must be labeled with a use-by date now, which kind of goes into what you're saying, is that there's just not enough. So they are requiring a more limited 6-month use-by date. Okay. 6-month use-by date. Stakeholders have successfully pushed... Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, my God.
Must feature use-by dates indicated that the items are best if consumed within 9 months of being packaged. I'm sorry, I misread that. The policy change was put forward by regulators in 2022, giving the industry a year to adopt the new standards. They had pushed back on an initial proposal from the Colorado Marijuana Enforcement Division to require a more limited 6-month use-by date.
I wonder if that's not something to do with let's force more sales to begin with.
2014.
Yeah.
There's your answer.
Yeah.
10-year anniversary of the nation's first legal adult use marijuana sales in Colorado on January 1st, 2014.
Yep. That's sweet.
Oklahoma medical cannabis industry sees multiple regulatory updates. One measure will authorize the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority, OMA, to hire secret shoppers that can discreetly carry out oversight activities such as investigating regulatory compliance at cannabis businesses and providing samples from dispensaries to assure quality assurance labs.
Oh my God, I want to do this. I want this job, bro. I want to be a secret shopper. I want to go in and buy the weed and take it back to the lab. Illinois, if you're listening.
Hey, Dave, let's just start doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we could. I just want to get paid to do it.
Yeah.
From the government, OMA.
So for the first year, OMA must deploy secret shoppers to at least 50 medical marijuana dispensaries each year. By the following year, the law says that regulators must inspect at least 10% of randomly selected shops. I don't want that in Illinois because, you know, it's just going to be like the mob going around. You know what I mean?
Hey, sign me up.
Another law that goes into effect Monday will allow licensed marijuana labs to formally validate their testing process, a voluntary step that's meant to demonstrate strict compliance with various rules and objectives for labs. Also, a separate law taking effect further promotes the development of additional industry standards from labs. For labs.
Well, yeah, there's not a lab in the fucking world that's voluntarily showing you what the fuck they're doing because they get paid to
that's
not
proprietary
show you what
information.
the fuck they do. There will be some do-gooder that comes out and is like, look at how good we are. We guarantee whatever. And then that product won't sell as well because they're not faking numbers, which we have a bunch of number shoppers in the cannabis space. So I don't see there being any lab that comes out and starts to guarantee, because most cannabis is not 24 to 30% THCA by volume. Anyway.
Well, that's, the government, until we're not taxing based on THC content, then that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
So long as there are taxing by THC content things in place, then I don't know why the government wants them to come out and do anything.
So that they can say that they're absolved of any responsibility.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Obviously.
Yeah. Well, again, it's a voluntary action, so I don't know if anybody's voluntarily.
Well, that's in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah, well, and good on them for trying. Good on them for going, hey, y'all want to tell people that you're not lying to them,
right?
And like I said, who comes out to be that person, and then who the fuck is using them as the lab place to begin with? I don't know.
Yeah,
I still see it.
Additionally, another law requires regulators to develop a process to provide for the certification of workers at licensed medical cannabis businesses, ensuring that they meet minimum standards in order to maintain employment in the industry. And that's just, hey, we got it. We actually have to do this.
Right.
So, okay. Well, those are some of the ones that.
Hey, 2024.
2024. It's going to be a crazy. It's going to be a crazy year.
Yeah.
Here we go. Next one from the Trib. Cannabis companies drop controversial plan for weed shop at site of former Rainforest Cafe.
Boom. We talked about this before.
We did talk about this before.
Yeah, because it was within a certain distance to the other.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, what this says is a clouded cannabis partnership has dropped its controversial plan to open a store at the former Rainforest Cafe in downtown Chicago. State regulators had rejected a previous proposal by PTS to move its Consume dispensary from Norwood Park to the old Rainforest Cafe at Clark and Ohio Street. The site's within 15 feet of 3 existing dispensaries in violation of state law. So PTS formed a partnership with BioPharm, claiming that they could locate within the exclusion zone because BioPharm qualified as a social equity licensee meant to diversify the white-dominated industry. But 2 lawsuits challenged the legality of the proposal, delaying the business from opening. In response to recent Trib inquiries, Mara Georges, an attorney who represented PTS and was the city of Chicago's longtime corp counsel, wrote, "The development of the former Rainforest Cafe site was delayed by litigation and the uncertainty and additional costs it brings. As a result, PTS and BioPharm have decided to forego this site and pursue other options." Okay.
Yeah, good. I was okay with that.
Right.
My whole thing was, especially having PTS behind you, I don't need any of these corporate monsters competing against the new people coming into the industry. It seems ridiculous. They're already struggling enough to get a place to begin with. And then now the people who have been making millions of dollars since the beginning of the program are just going to come in and buy the bigger, more flashy space.
You mean what's happened from the beginning?
100%. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's rough. So
it is rough.
Let the little guy survive.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it was part of Green Rose. Yeah. All right.
Good.
Is there anything else good in here?
No, it's just that 1,500 feet thing. And it's literally 1,500 feet away from the other one. We're less than a quarter mile, eh?
Yeah.
200, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's more than little bit more than a quarter mile. I'm bad at math right at the moment.
Yeah, nothing else that's good or relevant there. Here's my favorite one. This is a good one. DEA tells Congress it has final authority on marijuana, regardless of health agency Schedule 3 recommendation.
Ugh.
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 The DEA is telling lawmakers that it reserves the final authority to make any scheduling decision on marijuana following an ongoing review, regardless of what the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services recommends.
Well, the only way this could be good is if the DEA just deschedules the whole thing. But
yep, that'll never happen.
They're the drug enforcers, so why would they?
Why would anybody who has the idea of power give up that power?
Yeah. It's just one less thing and one less department that thing would have to do.
Right.
And that department sucks to begin with, so
Yeah. So, in a letter to Congressional Cannabis Caucus co-chair Representative Earl Blumenauer,
close enough,
DEA acting chief of the Office of Congressional Affairs, Michael Miller gave a general overview of the scheduling review process that was initiated under a directive from Joe Biden in October 2022. That started with a scientific assessment from HHS that reportedly advised DEA to move marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substances Act. Once HHS made its recommendation in August, DEA conducts its own review, the letter said. Sent last month and first reported by Punchbowl News, it says, DEA has the final authority to schedule, reschedule, or deschedule a drug under the Controlled Substances Act after considering the relevant statutory and regulatory criteria and HHS's scientific and medical evaluation, it says. DEA is now conducting its review. That's awesome. I love them. The agency's statement came in response to an earlier letter from 31 bipartisan lawmakers led by Blumenauer that implored the DEA to consider the merits of legalization as it carried out its review. Merits. Yeah, they're not going to consider merits. The initial letter also criticized the limitations of simply placing cannabis in Schedule 3 as opposed to fully removing the plant from CSA control, which would be fantastic. While I would much rather have that than simply
Schedule 3 might fuck some shit up.
I think Schedule 3 is going to really screw some stuff up.
Because doesn't Schedule 3 require a pharmacist or something?
Yes.
So now
it could.
Every single dispensary would have to hire a pharmacist or something like that. And there isn't a single fucking pharmacopoeia right now that's telling people about cannabis. So
Georgia.
What the fuck is the
Georgia,
point?
but they were the ones who were supposed to be able to sell cannabis through a pharmacy. And then it was the ATF or DEA was like, nuh-uh, we don't care. All right, we don't care that's your law. Better not.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't. I mean, in a bunch of other states, a lot of the cannabis places require a pharmacist to be on staff, and I don't understand it. That's been to me one of the dumbest things that has possibly ever happened in the cannabis industry, because none of these people have studied cannabis or the interactions of cannabis with anything. They don't. That is not a fucking taught subject in school.
Right.
Nor do they have any real life fucking experience with cannabis at all. And for what we know, the interactions are pretty straightforward. You can just read it on, it's out there.
Yeah.
What you shouldn't take with cannabis, or you should consult a medical professional.
And most medical professionals don't have understanding of that either.
I don't know. So again, that's the whole thing. Like, and a lot of times it's either like blood pressure fucking medication or like kooky shit, like psychological medicine that really fucks you up or because you are really fucked up. Okay, don't take those in conjunction because they might interact negatively with each other. But then that's the whole point. Like, maybe you don't need it as bad as you might need the other thing. Like if you're taking a blood pressure regulator or something and cannabis is going to fuck that up, like maybe take the blood pressure regulator before the cannabis is just my thought. There's other things in the world that may give you the comfort that you're seeking, including something very simple like CBD.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't really need full-blown THC cannabis for
everything,
or, you know.
Says here, while Congress continues to send the president comprehensive cannabis legislation, the urgency of full descheduling should inform the DEA's position on overall cannabis reform and appropriate enforcement centered on advancing public safety, not unjust criminalization, the lawmaker's letter said. True. Marijuana's continued inappropriate scheduling is both arcane and out of touch with the will of the American people. True. Last year it hit like 70% on like most polls. Like that's huge. In that context, DEA's response offered little insight, with the agency declining to address the lawmakers' key arguments and instead simply outlining the procedural details of the scheduling review, which we read earlier. Of course. It also did not divulge any details about the timeline for the completion of the review, though many observers expect it to wrap up way ahead of the November election. Congressional Research Service recently concluded that it was likely that DEA would follow the HHS recommendation based on past precedent, but as DEA reiterated in a letter last month, it has final jurisdiction over the CSA and maintains the right to disregard the health agency's advice.
Hopefully it disregards it again as just descheduling the fucking thing altogether. That would be awesome for all of us. It would be... And I don't see why they don't anyway. Outside of having literal branches of their fucking... their business.
Right.
That are devoted to cannabis shit. So now they fire a bunch of their own people because they don't have to try to regulate the shit anymore.
Last month, the governors of 6 U.S. states, Colorado, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, and Louisiana, sent a letter to Biden calling on the administration to reschedule marijuana by the end of 2023. Well, that's hey, you have a month.
They whiffed.
Yeah, whiffed. Meanwhile, 6 former DEA heads and 5 former White House drug czars sent a letter to the Attorney General and current DEA administrator voicing opposition to the top federal health agency recommendation to reschedule marijuana. That would be HHS.
I want to be a drug czar.
Yeah, that means you got to work for the government.
I don't give a shit.
They also made a questionable claim about the relationship between drug schedules and criminal penalties in a way that could exaggerate the potential impact of the incremental reform. So what, are you going to wait another 50 or 100 years to deschedule it more?
Yeah, that's the problem. Let me be a drug czar. I'll take care of it right now.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to show up as Santa Claus on my first day.
Yeah. Get fired. Signatories include DEA and Office of the National Drug Control Policy heads under multiple administrations led by presidents of both major parties. In October, advocates and lawmakers who support cannabis reform marked the 1-year anniversary of Biden's mass marijuana pardoning and scheduling directive by calling on him to do more. Yeah, he just did another one, and it's a lot of nothing burger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, see, here's what I was talking about. The agency has separately warned Georgia pharmacies that dispensing THC is unlawful because it remains a Schedule I drug after the state became the first in the U.S. to allow pharmacies to sell medical marijuana, with nearly 120 facilities applying to sell cannabis oil.
Wow.
And they said, we don't care. We don't care at all.
Well,
all the 3-letter agencies, close your doors, you suck. They can all go away.
Yeah. Just schedule this fucking thing?
Well, they're not going to, because taxes. Everything's taxes.
You still tax the motherfucker.
I know.
Same way alcohol is
Well, they
still
want to
taxed.
tax it more. You want to read this real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
New York officials issue annual reports on marijuana market equity and enforcement. I was talking to my buddy Ryan, who lives in New York now, and he's like, dude, I just go down to the corner store and just get whatever I need. And no reason to go to a dispensary. It's ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah, that's how it is in New York. He lives in Manhattan. I mean, it's been like that forever. I mean, you can just go to the corner store and get whatever.
Nice.
A year after New York became the country's second most populous state to commence adult use marijuana sales, the Office of Cannabis Management has released its annual report along with a separate documents focused on equity in the industry and enforcement against unlicensed operators. The full report, which is like 91 pages, offered a brief snapshot of the state's first year of legal sales, highlighting the consumers purchased more than 3.5 million cannabis products during the year, with total sales expected to exceed 150 million once December's numbers are tallied. An appreciable but somewhat slow start, given only that 40 licensed dispensaries had opened for business across the state by 2023. So let's see.
That is kind of light.
6,200 licenses, permits, and registrations between 2022 and 2024. 40 adult use businesses.
Dude, that does not seem like... When did they start their shit? Had it been middle of the year or something, right?
2022. And then it slowed to a crawl in 23 amid lawsuits and a court injunction.
Yeah.
And they remember we talked about there a couple times. There was two different ones that were going on.
Oh,
the veterans.
My God, it wasn't
Right. So like for a whole year.
Wow.
Yeah. So they couldn't process any new retailer licenses. And obviously that was a bottleneck. Let's see here.
But were those 40 fucking... I want to know how long it took them to sell $150 million worth of cannabis. Because Illinois did, what, 1.4 this year or something? 1.3 billion?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. We 10x'd fucking New York's fucking legal market.
Oh, yeah. So New York's rollout of legal marijuana sales, which kicked off in the final days of 2022, so almost 2023.
Yeah.
Slowed to a crawl in 23, and then until December of 23, they couldn't process anything. So all of those had to be like, so that, what is that, from December to now? The last couple months? Or is that from 2022?
Yeah, that's what I'm...
Crazy.
But even I mean, if it's simply from December till now, they fucking slayed. You know, that's my thought at it. But if it's, you know, been around since 2023, the end of 2022, and they literally did 150 million, there's what is going on. But if you're saying that people are just going to the local shops and it's available outside of...
It's been like that for 10, 15 years at least.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's New York.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Let's see here. This past October, the state also opened a general licensing window to the public, allowing all New Yorkers the opportunity to apply for an adult use license for the first time in our state's history. This is the farmers markets and stuff that they're doing that is good. Hundreds of licenses to conduct business in this industry are at stake. Okay. So here's the annual report. Okay, cool. Here's a top-level list of legalization by numbers. So 6,200 licenses, permits, registration issued or provisionally approved in state fiscal years 2023 and 23-24, 279 adult use cultivator licenses, 40 adult use processor licenses, 463 retail dispensary licenses, 5,404 cannabinoid hemp licenses and permits.
Oh my God, there is a THCA hemp thing going on right now.
Oh, of course there is. 10 registered organizations approved, 1 renewal pending. 41 adult use retail dispensaries open for business. 60 cannabis grower showcases, that's what they call the farmers markets there,
Okay.
approved. Over 137 million in retail sales as of December 9, 2022.
So it was the whole year. Holy fuck, that's really bad.
Yeah. 3.5 million units sold. 16.3 million in revenue in state fiscal year 2022-2023.
Oh my God.
Over 6 million in revenue by the midpoint of state fiscal year 23-24. 369 enforcement inspections of illicit operations.
I've seen that happening a lot. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's fucking ridiculous. Jesus Christ.
11,600 pounds of illicit products seized.
That sucks too, because that probably came from the 369
Probably.
enforcement. Yeah, because remember we did something too, or maybe it was me. I don't know if we both did it, but there was a company that was getting inspected and they had all their legal licenses or whatever, but because of that stupid injunction, they were not supposed to be doing what they were doing, selling or whatever, but they were like a retail front. And the lady ended up kind of standing there and saying, fuck you, you can't take my stuff. And she ended up going to jail for a little bit or whatever. But yeah, that sucks, man.
It does suck.
Because it sounds like they had the potential to make a fuck ton more money, especially 11,600 pounds worth of more money.
56 million street value of products seized.
Jesus. That's a street value. That's not fucking inflated dispensary value.
Right.
So you're probably, and after taxes and shit, you're probably another 150 million. So you're $300 million instead of 150. Anyway, fucking New York.
6,934 adult use license applications received. 932 field hours of compliance inspections, and over 121,000 patients registered with the medical cannabis program. Ooh, New York's top 5 selling strains: Gas Face, Blueberry Muffin, Sour Diesel, Runts, and Hash Burger. Sour Diesel and Runts I am 0% surprised about. Runts is in everything. In fact,
that's probably purely based off of who grew them. There's probably one cultivator or two cultivators that are doing really well out there and have figured out the way to navigate and are fully compliant. So they get to kind of edge the market, would be my guess. I don't really know enough about New York's cannabis market.
Here's something they're very proud about. The New York cannabis market has generated over $150 million in retail sales. New York's retail cannabis market experienced remarkable growth through 2023, with sales escalating from 2.2 million in the month of January to 18.8 million in the month of November.
Jesus Christ. that's like... you almost are doing hemp numbers now, New York. Good for you.
Yeah, good for you.
One hemp company. Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
I feel really bad for New York.
I mean, here's their breakdown: 49.6.4% flower, 0.67% topical, 27.88% of their market is vapes, 21.81% of their market is oral.
It's just edibles.
Yeah.
And shit. Yeah. Wild. Absolutely wild.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of failed lots.
Yeah, a lot of failed lots. Yeah, this is a 91-page discussion.
Oh,
yeah, it breaks down like registered organization workforce, race ethnicity of New York RO workforce versus New York EEO1 filer employees. It's got a lot of interesting stuff, and you should go check it out yourself.
Oh, this is a really cool report, actually, if you like to see stats on things.
Yeah. It's also really long, and I don't think it's super interesting as far as
reading it.
I mean, yeah, reading it out, but we always try to read part of it.
I think we kind of summarized the gist of what's going on there. It just is really wild to me that, 150 million. We do that in 1 month.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They took a year. And they got 40 dispensaries. Illinois is doing that with 50 dispensaries.
There's a new one opening out by Home Depot in Aurora. Yeah, Auralite, Aura. Have you heard of them?
No.
There's a lot of small ones popping up. Pretty good. I like it.
Yeah. Are prices going down?
I have no idea. I don't buy anything from them.
I don't buy. I literally. I'm seeing this leveling of things a little bit, though. You know, like I don't know where, but between the lines of what I saw out in Michigan and what I know Illinois' market to be, like I feel like you can kind of draw a line through the middle of it, and that's probably where things will exist for a while. I don't see, like the super expensive shit, there's no flipping way it stays around. It's a boutique thing at best. People cannot continue to spend $700 for an ounce of cannabis, especially when there's $70 cannabis available. But, you know, I think we all can break out a few more dollars than 70 and maybe buy the $100, $125 something that's actually pretty good nowadays. It's weird how much $125 can purchase you in cannabis up in Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you get, you know, it's still a shot at a dartboard.
Well, there's a lot of THCA stuff up there, too. I have some friends that went up there. I think I may have talked about it on one of the last podcasts. But I was like, there's
5,400 fucking hemp licenses.
Exactly.
And there's 200 cultivation licenses.
Right.
So I'll just get a hemp license, grow THCA flower, and sell that shit because it's far easier. Plus, I don't go through the same level of regulations that a cultivation center would, and I'm able to sell the same fucking product. Well, I can't sell THCA, 0.3% by volume. But then You
mean THC?
No, THC.
Oh.
THCA, you can grow as much as you want, sell
as
much as you want. THC, but that's even the thing then, is if you manipulate the verbiage, you can sell oral products still. You can sell consumables, edibles and things, because you can make the brownie, you know, what do you want to make it, 100 milligrams? Okay, so that's got to be 0.3%. That means that you just make the thing, okay, that what's 100 milligrams? That's fucking 1/10 of a gram.
Right.
So then you just make it, you know, you just move that over. That's 1 decimal point. So you make it fucking 300 times bigger than 0.1 of a gram.
Yep.
So now you have a 30-gram piece of, you know, an edible or something. You can have 100, and that's 1 ounce. You know, I mean, a 1 ounce brownie.
Yep.
You could put 100 milligrams worth of THC in it, not THCA, because it's 0.3 by volume.
Right.
So why not get a fucking hemp license with a hemp license and a fucking food handling license?
Yep.
That way you can handle food, manipulate and put it down, and then that way you have most of the market. The only thing that you wouldn't have is vapes or concentrates, right? Because those two things get converted through the process, and you couldn't hide it in anything. There just wouldn't be anything, you know, hideable. So then in turn, you get to sell flower and edibles. You get 70, at least New York numbers, you get 75% of the sellables.
Yep.
As you would if you had a cultivation license.
Right.
And then you just, you know what I mean? Like it's,
and extracting is a whole other process. You know what I mean? It's like hard to like do extracting and cultivation and processing.
Yeah. But yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, it's not only that, your licenses cost substantially less. What do we see? The other one was 3 years for $1,000.
Yep.
Fucking cultivation licenses are tens of thousands of dollars for the license per year.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Plus all the other.
Get a fucking hemp license.
Yeah, get a hemp license.
What the fuck?
Let's do it. All right. I think that's our show today.
Hey.
Super fun.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We appreciate all of you.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the love we get on Instagram that Dave never sees. But, shout out to all our friends who support us there. We love you.
Thanks
Y'all
for
are the best.
Anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Support dope people. Anyway.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, we love you all. Smoke weed every day. Peace.
Every day.
Yo, ding dong, we're done here. Time to go.